Hello once again. Welcome to Zephyr's BI and Analytics, where we learn by building BI projects. Today on this channel, I'm going to be walking you through how you can create a data challenge winning health report in Power BI. So, if it's your first time on this channel, why don't you click on the subscribe button? Also turn on your notification to always stay updated when interesting projects like these are uploaded on the channel. So without waste of time, let's quickly take a look at the project we'll be creating today. An overview of the report provides insights into patient demographics. We can look at the demographics by age group, by medical condition, by blood group. The overview also gives us insights into admitted patients, room/bed space, average billing amount, the doctors, the average length of stay, average patient age. While looking at this across a particular medical condition in hypertension, we can actually switch to a different medical condition in asthma. We can select also a different year. We can also select a month. Next is the key trends, where we look at the key trends in average billing amount, the admitted patients, the average length of stay across different hospitals and different medical conditions. Finally, we look at the treatment and cost, the billing amount accumulated by particular medical condition in a particular year, by hospital or insurance provider. Great. So I'll be walking you through how you can create this report using Power BI. Now, attached to the video description is a link to a OneDrive where you'll be able to download the dataset, the PowerPoint background, and the PBIX file. You don't need to write any measure to create this report. The measures have been written. I'm just going to be walking you through how you can use those measures and create a report of your own. So what are we waiting for? Open up your Power BI. Let's begin. So once you open up the PBIX file you downloaded, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see a blank canvas with the background image already on it. You have that for the patient demographics, the key trends, the treatment and cost also. First, the most important thing you need to then do is to connect the dataset you've downloaded to this PBIX file. And to do that, I'll simply come to transform data up here. I'll click on transform data. Of course, this will open up Power Query. Now, one of the errors I'm expecting you to get, when this open up, this is the error I expect you to get, right? If you go to the health data, you're also going to get the same error. And if you go to the dim condition, you're going to get the same error. But to quickly fix this error, all you need to do is come to the data folder up here. In the folder data source, just come to the parameter I have here, data folder. This data folder is simply asking for the part where you have the file you just downloaded saved. So if you downloaded the data set, you should have it in your downloads. But say you move it from your downloads to a special folder, you should have it in that folder. Now, I'll simply navigate to a folder in my desktop. If you come to my desktop, I have a folder called Downloads. So this is the folder where I have the data set, Healthcare Analysis Dataset. Note one thing, I did not change the naming convention of this data set. It remains Healthcare Analysis Dataset. What I'm simply going to do is going to double click up here and get the folder paths. This is automatically the data path. I'll simply copy this folder path because that's where my data set is actually lying. I'll close it. I'll come to this data folder up here. I'll just say manage parameter. I'll come down here, current value. I'll delete everything and paste that part I just copied. After pasting it, the next thing I need to do is add a slash at the end. Very important, add the slash at the end. That's the only thing I need to do. And once I click on OK, I'll simply come to the data dictionary and refresh. The data will pop up, the health data will pop up. Then you come to the dim condition, everything will pop up. You can just click on retry here, you should have the data. If you come to the dim condition, click on retry, you should also have the data. Now that's the only thing you need to do. Let's give it a little time. So you can see The dimension condition is already in place. This is the health data. Then you have the dimension condition also is already in place. So this is the first thing you need to do. Now, if for any reason you decide to rename this file, let me just open it up again. So for any reason you decide to rename this file, you rename it to something else entirely. What that simply means is you need to come down to this file path you have here and change the name here also. But for this video, I didn't rename the file at all, so I'm just using the same file. And if you didn't rename your file, all you need to do is just change the folder source and you're good to go. Once you've done all that, you can actually go through the different transformation I did in Power Query, just a few transformation for the data set. Then this is actually the dimension condition table. You can actually go just a few transformation I also did here. So once you're done, you can then come to close and click on close and apply. This will bring you back to Power BI where we can start creating our report. Let's give it a little time. Okay. Okay. Almost there. Great. So now in Power BI, we brought in the dim condition table and the health data table. But I created the calendar table also in Power BI here. Then I created the table just to hold my DAX measures. So if you come to the table view, you're going to find the calendar table. You're also going to find the dimension conditions table, having the condition ID, medical condition, description, and the image. Then you're going to have the health data itself. Then you're simply going to have a simple model with the health data at the middle. And you have the calendar and the dim condition. Now, this is actually a table that holds all my DAX. To simply do that, all I did was simply come to enter data. And I simply just gave it DAX, the name of the table, and clicked on load. Now, I have all the KPIs you need, all the measures you need to create your visuals already grouped accordingly. So first, the KPIs, which are the key KPIs we're looking at. Then we have the results, which is the result either normal, inconclusive, or abnormal. Then we have the title. We also have the year on year also. So what are we waiting for? Let's begin. Okay, so let's quickly take a look at the report we're trying to recreate. So we have the KPI cards up here: admitted patient, room, bed space, billing amount, length of stay, patient age, doctors, and all. So we'll start by creating the KPI cards. Let's go back to our Power BI. I'll simply just bring in a card visual now. Next, I would expand the KPI and look at admitted patients and just drop it here. So admitted patient is simply looking at a distinct count of the health data patient ID. So if we go to the table view, if you look at our health data, you find the first column is actually the patient ID column. So we're doing a distinct count of the patient ID. So if this ID we're sure is not actually repeating, we can actually just do a count and we'll get the same result. But a distinct count tells us make sure we don't count one ID twice. So we're doing a distinct count of the patient's ID, a distinct count of the patient's ID. So with that, we get 56K. So let's quickly format this. Next, I'll come to format colored value. I'll simply just reduce the colored value to 25. I'll make sure the display unit is none. Then I'll come change the font style to Arial. I'll also turn off the category label. Next, I'll come to general effects. I'll turn off the background. So I'll just reduce the size and bring that here. Okay, so I can actually add a title to the card visual, but sometimes I just prefer to just come to insert a text box. Then I'll simply say admitted patients. I'll say Ctrl A. I'll change the font style to be Arial also. I'll simply just make this 14, and I think this is fine. I'll come to effects. I'll turn off the background also. So I'll just place this up here. Next, I'll just make a copy of this home, copy, paste. I'll place this here, make sure it's well aligned with what I have already. I'll paste another, just place it here, make sure it's well aligned, paste, make sure it's well aligned, paste, make sure it's aligned, paste, make sure it's aligned also. I'll simply rename this, right? So this is looking at rooms / bed space. I'll delete everything except the last one. So I'll just say rooms / bed space. Finally, I can go back. I'll also then just increase the space. Then I can delete the first letter. So this should be looking at the average billing amount, average billing amount. This should be looking at the doctors. Also, I'll delete everything except the last letter. This should be looking at the doctors also. Next, we should be looking at the average length of stay, which is the average length of stay. How long? Average length of stay. So length of stay is more like LOS, right? Average length of stay. Then I'll just put in bracket days. So actually know the average length of stay is looking at number of days. Then finally, this should be looking at the average patient age. Average age. All right, so I have the headers in place. I'll make a copy of this card visual here. I'll simply copy and paste. Now for the number of rooms, if we come to our health table view, come to our health data, we can actually find out that we have rooms. So we have rooms. Where's the rooms? Yeah, so we have room number. So for the rooms, we're just doing a distinct count of the room number to ensure we don't count one room twice. So I'll simply just change this from admitted patients to rooms. Next, we have the average billing amount. If we go back to our table view, you can actually see we have a column billing amount. So we're just taking an average of this column, the billing amount. So that's an average of the billing amount. I'll simply paste to have another copy. I'll bring that here, make sure it's well aligned also. I'll change this to average billing amount. I'll paste again and bring this down here for doctors. So this is simply looking at the count of the doctors, because we have the doctor's name in one of the columns here, so a distinct count of the names of this doctor. So I'll check doctors. I'll simply paste again. I'll paste again, get another copy, so make sure it's well aligned also. For the average length of stay, right? For the average length of stay, let's quickly go back to our data. If we come back to our data, you see we have the date of admission, which is the date the patient was admitted to the hospital or the health facility. Then we have the date the patient was discharged from the hospital or the facility also. So the length of stay, first we created a custom column that calculates the length of stay using the dated if function. So we're simply saying the date diff, actually the date diff function, simply saying what is the difference between the admission date and the discharge date. We want to find out the number of days between the admission date and the discharge date. That's what we want to find out. So we get the length of stay, how long this patient spent in the hospital. With that, we also created what we call the length of stay bucket. The length of stay bucket is simply looking at what the number of days. If it's less than or equal to 3 days, is a short stay, 1 to 3 days. If it's less than or equal to 7 days, is a moderate stay, 4 to 7 days. If it's less than or equal to 14 days, is a long stay, 8 to 14 days. So with that, what we simply did was to take an average of this new column we created, which is the length of stay column, to get the average length of stay. So I'll simply change this now to average LOS, which is length of stay. I'll paste one more time, and this will give me the average age of the patient. Remember, we have a column for patient age already. So I'll just uncheck this and take this to average age. So with this, we're done with the KPI card. Next, we now have the year-on-year values, right? We have the year-on-year values. the year-on-year values. Make sure these are well aligned. We have the year-on-year values. So the year-on-year values are simply looking at, in our data set, if we come to our data set and look at our admission dates, we actually have a couple of years there from 2019. We can scroll down to 2022. So we want a situation where we'll be able to track the percent increase or decrease in the number of admitted patients, the room space, the billing amount, the doctors and all. So if you have a particular year selected, we want to know if there was an increase or a decrease. So that's the year-on-year change. So let me simply just explain what the year-on-year is doing, the measures here. So for the first one, which is the ADM year-on-year, admitted patient year-on-year. Yeah, the measure may look long, but each line of the code is straightforward and simple to understand. Remember, so one of the feedback I got, right, when I submitted my report for the challenge, you always get feedback about how you can improve your report. One of the feedback I got was I should be specific. The year increase should be specific, right? So the first thing I did here, the improvement I added to this was the first variable here is selected here. It's simply looking at my calendar. It's simply saying what year is currently selected. So let's say I have a slicer. What year is currently selected in my slicer? Is it 2019? Is it 2022? The next variable is simply looking at the previous year. Remember, the previous year is just a factor of saying the current selected year, go back 1 year, which is -1, right? Now, the next variable is now looking at what is the value for the selected year. The value we're currently looking at is the admitted patient. So we want to know the previous year value for the admitted patient. So if I'm in 2022, what is the admitted patient number in 2021? So the next is looking at the current value, which is the admitted patients, their current value. So if I'm in 2022, I'm looking at what is the admitted patient in 2022. The previous year value is looking at the number of admitted patients in 2021. So why the next variable now, which is year-on-year change, is now trying to calculate, was there an increase in patients, admitted patients from 2021 to 2022 in this scenario we're working with. And finally, down here, we're simply returning, first, we're returning no selection. This simply means in my slicer, year slicer, I've not selected anything. I've not selected any year. So rather than just have blank, I'm simply saying no selection. So tell my user no selection. Now, while here, I'm simply saying upon selection, if there's an increase, if there's a decrease, use an arrow indicator to tell me there's an increase, use a down arrow to tell me there's a decrease. While up here, I'm saying previous year. Previous year is actually referring to the variable we created here. So for example, if I select 2022, the previous year will automatically be 2021. While no data simply refers to if I select a particular year and there's no data for the previous year, just tell me there's no data rather than returning blank, right? So I'll just commit this. Let's see how this works. I'll simply just bring a card visual now. First, I'll save this to make sure it's saved. I'll bring a card visual now, right? I'll just bring it here. I'll expand. I'll bring the year-on-year admitted patient year-on-year. Currently, it's showing no selection. That's because I don't have any year selected as of now. So let's just quickly format this colored value. I'll change the font style to Arial. I'll make this 12. 12 should be fine. I'll also turn off the category label. And finally, I'll go to general effects. I'll just turn off the background also. I'll reduce the size. Reduce the size. I'll just bring it here. Make sure it fits in and it's aligned to how I want it to be. Okay, so I'll select this. I'll just copy and paste. I'll drop one for the rooms. Make sure it's well aligned with what I have already. I'll paste again. Make sure it's aligned with what I have already. Okay, I'll simply paste again. Make sure it's aligned with what I have already. You can always make these adjustments, right? I'll paste again. Okay, and paste. So next, all I need to do is just change these measures. It's the same principle, right? If I uncheck, now I'm looking at the rooms. right? Year on year rooms, same principle. So the only thing that is changing here is just the value, which is rooms. Before now, we're referring to admission and admitted patients. Now we're talking about rooms, right? So I'll change this. This is looking at the year on year rooms. Was there an increase in bed space or decrease? This is looking at the billing amount. Was there an increase or decrease, which is the bill year on year? The number of doctors. Was there an increase in healthcare personnel? So doctors year on year. Next, we're looking at the average length of stay. Was there an increase or decrease as the LOS year on year? And finally, we're looking at the average age, right? Now, to verify this, I need to then bring in a slicer. So I'll simply just come to my slicer here. I'll bring in my slicer up here. I'll expand this. I'll just go to my calendar table and select the year and drop it on the fields. I can come to format, right? Just come to slicer setting. Instead of between, I'll say drop down. Now let's select a particular year, 2019. Now you see everything changes to no data. That's because we don't have a data for 2018. This is supposed to compare against the previous year, which is 2018, but we don't have data for 2018. So it's simply saying no data. But the moment we select 2020, you see it pops up. It tells us 52.8% increase versus 2019, which means we're currently looking at 2020, right? So if we go to 2021, same principle. Go to 2022, same principle. So with this, we're done with the KPI cards here. Let's quickly proceed to the visuals. Okay, so let's quickly go back to the report we're trying to recreate again. So next we can bring in these images, right? We can bring in the image and everything we have up here. Let's bring that, then we can proceed to anyone down here. So I'll simply navigate to the Power BI. First thing we need to do to get the image, we're actually using a table for that. So I'll just select the table visual we have here, right? I'll bring the table visual here, expand a bit. I'll then navigate to our dim condition, that's our dimension condition, and I'll drop the URL on the column. Great, so you can actually see the images, right? Or the images for the different health condition. One thing I'll quickly do is just make a copy of this slicer, copy, paste. I'll drop it here, reduce the size, and I'll simply come change it from year and replace it with medical condition. So now if I have a particular medical condition selected, I should just see the image for that particular medical condition. I'll just unselect. Let's say we select hypertension. I can then reduce the size of the table, right? Let's quickly format this. I'll bring it down here. I'll come to format, then specific column. That's the URL. I'll turn it, apply to everything here. I'll just change the text color to white so I don't see that header. Next, I'm going to navigate to grid and I'll come to options, right? I'll expand the border. I'll just check and uncheck. So I remove that border I have there, right? Next, I can then go to image size and I can just increase the size. Let's say 150 to 150. Yeah, so 150, 150. So I just increase the size and make sure it fits into the space I already created, right? I can come here, come to format, general, effects, and turn off the background also. And just make sure my image is just within this space I have here. Doesn't exceed that space. Okay, so with this, if you have another medical condition selected, image changes, everything works perfectly fine. Next, we need to bring in the description for the medical condition. So I'll just bring a card visual again, quickly. I'll drop this here and I'll just drop the medical condition description. So this is hypertension, right? I'll come to format now, call out value. We need to reduce the size. Let's say we reduce the size to 10, right? Then we change the font style to Arial. I'll also turn off the category label. So just this gives a brief description of the medical condition. I think we can actually increase the size to 12. Let's see how it looks. 12 is fine. Then we can come to general effects and turn off the background also. So we're good. So if we change this to another medical condition, we get a brief description, we see the image. Now we need to see the results, right? The results if it's normal, inconclusive, or abnormal, right? For a particular medical condition that is selected. If you come to our health data table, right? For each of these patients, you actually find out there is a column for test results. This is the test results column. And we actually have abnormal, inconclusive, and normal, right? So with this column, we can then count, using the admitted patient, we can count admitted patient and filter by those patients with results that are normal. We can also count and filter by those patients with results that are abnormal. So if you come to results, you see first we have the normal results, which is simply counting, let's come back here, which is simply counting normal results, simply can calculate admitted patients where the health data test results is equals to normal, right? Now, inconclusive results is simply calculating admitted patient, filter it by when admitted, that's the test result is inconclusive. Then, of course, we have abnormal results. We are saying calculate the patient's health data where the test result is abnormal. Now, this plus 0 I'm adding here is just to tell me return 0 instead of returning blank if we don't have any values there. The next thing we then do is to calculate the percentage of the results, right? Instead of just having numbers, let's see what percentage of the result is normal, the ones that are patient result is normal, abnormal, or inconclusive. So to do that also, you can actually see we have two measures each here. One is the abnormal results, then we have the abnormal result percent, which is simply saying divide the abnormal results, right, by the total number of admitted patients. Same thing, same principle. Divide the inconclusive result by the total number of admitted patients. While finally, divide the normal result by, that's divide the normal results by admitted patients, right? So let's quickly bring a card visual to do all that. So, so normal means normal, right? So I can bring in the normal results. This is actually showing 0 now. I can come to format, colored value. I'll make this, let's just say 16 is fine. Turn off the category label. As the category label is turned off, I'll come to general effects. I'll put off the background also. I'll just drop this value here. That's the normal results. I'll make a copy of this, right? And drop it here, just in front of it. Then I'll change this to the normal percent. That's the normal percent, right? It's actually 0. I'll make a copy of this again, just bring it down here, make sure it's aligned. This is now looking at inconclusive result. Then I'll make another copy, bring it here, inconclusive percent. Then finally, another copy down here. This is looking at abnormal results. Okay, so abnormal results, patients with abnormal results, that's 756. Then what percentage of these patients are we looking at? Abnormal results, that's 100%. So remember, we're looking at the condition is actually asthma, and the year is 2022. We have 756 patients. They all have abnormal results. That's the implication of what we're seeing here. We can actually change this to cancer. Let's see, we have the same thing, diabetes. So in terms of diabetes, you can actually see inconclusive 50%, abnormal 50% also. So that's basically it. Let's quickly navigate back. Okay, so we're missing the title here. So we need to add titles. Increase this. I can just make a copy of this, right? Copy, paste. I'll also just reduce the font size. So this should just come to say the font size should be 12 instead. So this is looking at normal. This is looking at normal now. Okay. So this is looking at normal. So I think I'll be specific to say normal results. Normal results. I'll just drop this here. So you can make a copy of this, copy, paste. This should be inconclusive. So this should be inconclusive. Results. We don't have much space for inconclusive. Okay, I think it works fine. Then one final copy for abnormal. So I guess why I didn't put results before now, we can just leave it at inconclusive, and we can leave this at normal. Then finally, we can leave this at abnormal. Abnormal. Okay. Okay, so we are good to go. I'll quickly just save this, right? We can look at it across, of course, different years, right? You see the change. So with this, we're done with this section of the report. Let's proceed to the visuals we have done here and here. So let's quickly go back to the report we're trying to create and see what we need to do here. We need to see this by age group, by medical condition, and by blood group. Okay. So for the demographics visual, that's the visuals here, we're going to be using a bookmark. Ideally, I wanted to use a field parameter, but I discovered that I wanted the medical condition to be able to interact with the age group visual, right? But when I switched to medical condition, I did not want the medical condition to interact with it. So if I do that, if I turn off interaction, it's going to be an issue. So we're going to be using bookmark. So the first thing we need to do is simply get a column chart. We just bring it here, right? Now we want to see the admitted patient by age group. So we can open our KPI, select our admitted patients. That should be on the y-axis. Then we need to bring our health data age group on the x-axis. So this is what we have, right? Age group, right? So we want to look at this across the two gender. That will bring the gender here. We actually have three gender, non-binary. They don't go to the hospitals actually. So we're going to just filter out that and basic on check. Log this up. Okay, so this is simply the visual we want to create. So let's quickly format this, right? This is actually looking at the admitted patient by age group and gender. So let's quickly format this first. We'll come to the x-axis, we'll turn off the title, we'll change the font style, also be consistent area. Let's make this 10. Let's change the color to black. Next, the y-axis, we'll turn off the values, turn off the title, right? Finally, we'll come to the data labels, we'll put it on, expand, we'll scroll down, come to values, scroll down, change the font style to Arial, increase the font size to say 12 or 10, change the color to black. Now for the gender, the color, I'm quickly going to navigate to the PowerPoint to grab the color code. That's the purple color code here, and the light purple color code is what I actually use for the background. So I'll select this, come to shape format, more fill color. I'll just copy this code here. That's 5D21B0. I'll copy this code here, navigate back to the Power BI report, select format, column. I'll change this to male, and I'll paste the color code I copied, right? Next, I'll simply just go back again and copy the other color code, which is this. I'll come to shape fill, more fill colors. I'll copy this color code. That's C5, C7, F6. I'll copy this color code, navigate back to the Power BI reports, format, column, change this to female, and more. I'll paste the color code. Yeah, so with this we're done with the first visual, that is by age group, admitted patient by age group. Next, we want to look at admitted patient by medical condition, right? So I'll just make a copy of this. This is what I did. Let me remove. I just made a copy of this, Control C, Control V. So on the X axis, instead of having by age group, I'll bring in by medical condition. So I'll go to my dimension medical condition. I'll take by medical condition. But then I'm only seeing one condition. So I'll select this slice I have up here. I'll come to format. I'll say edit interaction. I'll close the interaction for this. Then I'll uncheck it back. So we now have admitted patient by medical condition. I'll just take this up a bit and do Control C, Control V. I'll bring this down again. Okay, so I'll format, edit interaction. No, I don't want to edit interaction this time around. Sorry, I'm not going to edit interaction for this. That's because I want to change the chart from medical condition on the x-axis and replace it with blood type. So I'll drop the blood type. So this is what I have in terms of blood type. That's because I have a particular condition selected. So you can go to asthma, you see everything changes, cancer, everything changes, hypertension, obesity, everything changes, right? Okay, so arthritis, everything changes also. Okay, for a particular year, let's say 2020, a lot changes, a lot. So I have these three visuals, right? So first I'll select this. I'll just come to format, general, effects. I'll turn off the background. I'll do same for this. I'll do same for this. So these three visuals are supposed to fit in here, right? So using a bookmark, that's what we're going to be doing. So first, let's quickly name our visuals properly, right? This is looking at age group. So I'll come to view up here. I'll click on selection. So this chart, I have it selected, is looking at age group. So I'll say this, I'll double click and rename it to age group, right? So this is for the age group. I'll select this. This is looking at admitted as condition. So I'll just say this is condition. Why this last one not looking so nice, but it's okay. It works. It's looking at blood group. Great. So I have the three of them. Next thing I'll do, I'll simply just place the three of them here. I'll just fit them here. Make sure they are all here, right? So now I have the selection open. I'll select bookmarks also. So I have selection pane, I have the bookmark. So what do I want to achieve? First, I want you to watch carefully. The first chart I want to show in this very space I have here is the admitted patient by age group, which means I don't want to see the admitted patient by blood group yet. I don't want to see the admitted patient by condition. What I want to see is the admitted patient by age group for now. So once I have it in this view, I'll simply click on add bookmark. So this bookmark is simply by what now? You can guess, by age group, right? Next, after by age group, I don't want to see by age group anymore, so I'll hide it. I want to see by condition, so I open by condition. By blood group is also hidden. So now I want to see by condition. So I'll click on add here, bookmark. This bookmark is automatically, I want to see by med condition. Okay. While lastly, I don't want to see by condition anymore. I don't want to see by age group. I want to see by blood group, which is the last one. So I'll now add a bookmark and rename this to by blood group. Okay. Now I can come to by age group, by medical condition, and by blood group. By age group, medical condition, and blood group. That's the first stage. The next stage we need to do is to ensure that this bookmark doesn't interact with our data, which means if, for example, I have 2023 selected here, if I change my bookmark to med condition, it shouldn't take it back to 2022. Now, if I have 2024 selected, right, and I change medical condition to hypertension, if I change my bookmark to age group, it resets my report back to 2022 and diabetes, which is not supposed to be so. So what do we need to do next? First, on the age group, by age group, click on the 3 more options here. Uncheck the data. The data is checked. Uncheck it. Go back again and say update. Now come to by medical condition. Click on the more option. Uncheck data. Go back again. Say update. Click on by blood group. Go back again. Say uncheck data. Go back and say update. Now by age group, by med condition, by blood group. Now by age group, if I select 2023, if I select hypertension, even if I switch my view to medical condition, the selection remains the same. If I switch to by blood group, the selection remains the same. That is what we wanted to achieve using the bookmarks. So once we are done, one thing we also should look at is like, now that we have by age group selected, right, we want this to only interact with these visuals here. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select by blood group here. I'll hold down my control, select by condition, select by age group. I'll right click. I'll say group these visuals together. They are called demographics. Right? So one thing I want to do next, right? The next thing I want to do now is select by age group. By medical condition, everything works well. By blood group. When I select by age group, I'll simply select demographics up here. I'll select demographics up here. See, I'll come back to my age group and say selected visuals. I'll go back again and say update. Now by medical condition, I'll also say selected visuals. I'll go back again and say update. By blood group, I'll also say selected visuals. I'll go back again and say update. So now I can say by age group, by medical condition, by blood group, everything works perfectly fine. By age group, by medical condition, by blood group. So once this is done, I'll just uncheck the selection, uncheck the bookmarks. Great. So next I can come to insert a bookmark. But before I insert a bookmark, I'll go back, I'll say view. I'll just check bookmarks. So these 3 bookmarks I have together, just the way I grouped the selection, I'll select age group. I'll hold down my control, select med condition, blood group, right click, and I'll group them together and say this should be demographics. I'll just say demographics. Okay. Next, I can uncheck the bookmark. I can then come to insert. I'll say insert buttons. I'll come to the navigator and say bookmark navigator. So this is my bookmark navigator. I can just place it up here. I'll simply come to shapes, right? I'll just increase the rounded corners, say 10 or 20. I'll make it 20. Okay, so I'll just reduce this a bit. Then I can increase this a bit. So this is how it should look like. Next, I'll select this bookmark navigator, come to style, right? Change the font style. Remember, we have to be consistent area. Now, this is when it's on default. On default, what I want the font color to be something like this, right? Then I want the fill color to be something like this. It's too dark. I can make this black actually. Okay, then I don't want the borders also. So this is actually to tell me it's not selected, it's actually grayed out in a way. So let's select this again, come to style, and probably would reduce the fill to something like this. Yeah, so this works perfectly fine. Next, I'll change it from on default to on hover, which simply means when you hover on it, we want the size to increase a bit, so you get this sense of increase in the size. Then next, I'll change it to when it's selected. So when it's selected, the font style should still be Arial, and the fill color now should be this purple color we've used before. So you have something like this. So let's go to by age group by medical condition, by blood group, by age group, medical condition, blood group, so by age group. So, and that is it for the visual we have there. Next, let's create the visual we have here, which is supposed to be a matrix visual. So I'll simply just select the matrix visual. I'll bring it down here. So what this is looking at is the different health facilities by the different medical condition and admitted patients. So what we simply want to do is come to hospital. We drop the hospitals on the row. So we have the hospitals, that's the health facility. Then we also want to have the medical condition, right? We want to have the medical condition. So I come to dimension medical condition and drop the medical condition on the column. So right now, the medical condition up here is actually filtering this table. We don't want that. So I'll select this slicer, come to format, edit interaction, and I don't want you to interact with this table. So I want check. Next, we then need to add our KPI to this, which is admitted patients. So this is our KPI, admitted patients. So let's quickly reduce the size of the table and bring the table down here. We need to apply some sort of conditional formatting to the table. First, we'll come to format and we'll come to grid options. We just increase the size to 12. Let's make the padding 2. That's fine. That's all we want to do for this table. Okay. Next, we want to change the layout style. This layout style, I want to change it from compact to tabular. Right? I want to make it tabular. Okay. The next thing I also want to do is come to grid, come to border, just check and uncheck. So you remove the borders, right? So I also want to turn on the vertical, right? I go back to format again, grid. I want to turn on the vertical and the horizontal, right? Then I'll go back to the border finally now. The border, I just want to turn on the up and bottom border only. Then the color, I want the color to be this purple color. So something like this, very simple, nothing much. So next, I'll select the table again, come to format, come to specific column. I'll just put on everything. Then I'll just say center. So I have it centralized. Great. So the next thing I did here was just to improvise, right? I have the total down here, but I wanted the chart showing the total up here also. So I can come to format, turn off the row total, right? So bring it down a bit so I have more space. Now I'll simply bring in a column chart again, right? Place it up here. Increase this, make it here. Then what I want to see is the admitted patients, right? By the medical condition, right? Then I'll come to format again. I'll select this slicer up here, come to format, say edit interaction. I don't want you to interact with this chart, right? So that's great. So next thing I'll do is select this chart. It's not sorted according to what we have in the table right now, on the table right now. So I'll just say format. I'll click on the 3 more options. I'll say sort axis by medical condition instead. So it's sorted by obesity. It's supposed to start with A, which is arthritis. So I'll sort again, sort axis by medical condition ascending. So I have arthritis at the beginning. So we need to apply some formatting to this column chart. First, I'll come to the x-axis. I don't need the values. I'll put it off. I'll go back to the y-axis. I don't need the values. I don't need the title, right? So it's fitted, well fitted now. So you can see arthritis. This is asthma. This is cancer. This is diabetes and all. So you can actually just resize this a bit to make sure it fits in. But one thing I'll do is come to format, come to columns, scroll down, turn on the border, right? Expand the layout, scroll down. Then I can adjust this layout to make sure I get what I want. So adjust it a bit to make sure I get what I want. I can actually adjust this a bit to make sure I get what I want. Okay. I'll just make sure it's fitted in a bit so it doesn't shift from one to the other. Let's see. Okay, am I supposed to go? Nope. I think let's leave this at 35 and see what happens. I think this works well for me. So next I'll select this, right? I'll come to format, general, I'll put off the title. Then I'll go back to my columns, colors, I'll give it the purple color as usual. Then for the border also, I think I'll also just give it the purple color. So with this is what you get. But one thing we'll do now is select the visual, come to format, turn on the data label, expand the data label, right? Scroll down, come to values, scroll down, change the font style as usual. Arial, make it 10, change the color to black, come to display unit, say none. So you get the entire values up there. Right, so with this, we just need to do one more thing, right? For this slicer, we can say format, values, background, we can give the background color purple, then come to the slicer, change this text to Arial, font color should be white. So you see medical condition. I can select this and say format painter, apply to this. Also, one thing I'll do is format, general, effects, put off the background color, do the same for this, put off the background color, and just bring this up here. Next, I think we can go back to the report we're trying to recreate here. We'll see the year, then we'll see the month. That's all. So give your chart your visuals title, right? So I can come back here and let's say make a copy of this chart, right? Just not the chart now, the slicer actually. Make a copy of the slicer, then I'll just swap the year for the month. I'll swap the year for the month. So it's going to be month's name. So you can see the months. So next you can actually put the labels here, demographics, then national health. Up here, that's where we have the page navigator button. That's the page navigator button. So we can come to insert buttons and say we want to insert the navigator. The page navigator button is right here. So we can drop it here, increase the size. Same formatting option we added for this bookmark navigator. That's what we need to do up here. So we'll just come to shape, increase this to 20, right? To 20, and simply say style. When it's on default, we want the font style to be Arial. We want the color to be something like this. Then we simply want the border off, and we want the field to be something like this. It's too dark, something like this actually. So we can come back here, change the font color a little bit darker, so we have something like this. Great. So next, when you hover on it, so I'll scroll up. When you hover on it, on hover, we just want the size to increase by 12. Next, when you select, we want the font style to still be Arial. We want this to be 12. Then finally, we want the color to be purple, something like this. So that's the page navigator, right? So with this, we're done with the first page of the report. We're done with the first page of the report. We then need to proceed to the second page where we work on the key trends. So before you proceed to page 2 of the report, remember to always give these visuals a good title, right? So this is by age group. The title should be, you can come to format, select this now, right? Come to format, general title, just give it a good title, right? Give it a good title, right? And you change to by medical condition, select. At the first select, you probably won't get anything, right? So select again to select the chart itself. Then you can come to format, give it a good title, please. Also, remember when you're trying to fit in this visual up here, remember you can actually adjust what you have done here, right? You can actually adjust these, right? So you can adjust these spaces, right, to make sure it fits in properly, you can adjust the table. That's what I'm trying to say in the recents. So I'm just going to undo because mine is properly done already. Okay, so this is it. So for page 2, we're still going to be sticking to the same layout, right? So I'm just going to copy everything I have up here, right? Everything I have up here, and just say Control C, then go back to key trends and just paste everything I have there. And yes, I want to sync everything together so everything fits in quite well. So down here we actually have key trends. Let's go back to the report we're trying to create. Key trends. So what we have in our slicer is the hospital and medical condition. Actually, we don't have the year or any other thing. So okay, we have the year down here. So what we want to look at is the admitted patient, the average length of stay, and the average billing amount. So that's what we want to look at. So we'll be using a parameter in this case. So I'll simply come back to the report we want to create. We'll come back to the report we want to create, and the first thing we need to do now is simply create a parameter. So a parameter, a field parameter, which would enable us switch between the admitted patient measure, the average length of stay, and the average billing amount. Okay, so I'll simply come to modeling. I'll say new parameter, fields parameter. I'll simply call our parameter, what do we call our parameter? Let's just say KPI. Then we can then expand our DAX, expand our KPI. We want to look at admitted patients. We want to look at the average length of stay trend. We want to look at the average billing amount. Then we'll click on create. Okay. Give it time. So now we have the field parameter created, right? We have it created for us already here. So this is the slicer, right? So next we can then bring in a line chart, right? This is a line chart, right? So what we want to look at is we want the month, that's the month short, the short month, right? We'll drop that on our x-axis. Now on the y-axis, we'll go and get the parameter we just created. This is the parameter we just created, KPI. I'll grab the parameter and drop it on the y-axis. Now it's not looking nice, right? That's because we need to select a particular parameter. So we'll select admitted patients. So always make sure that one parameter is selected at every point in time, single select. So we'll just change this to the new slicer to be consistent. Then we'll come to format now, say slicer setting, single select. We'll turn on the single select, right, to ensure that you can select more than one, and one must always be selected at every point in time. So you can select more than one, so not really single select. Go back to slicer setting and say force selection, right? You force a selection. You can select more than one, right? At the same time, one parameter must be selected at every point in time. So with this, we can format this slicer. You know how to format this slicer already. Just come to general, turn off the title, come to visual, shape, change this to rounded rectangle. It's 20 we're using, and just reduce the size. And I'll leave this for you to format it, right? You should be able to format this now. So for the line visual we have down here, I'll simply just come to the x-axis, change the font style as usual to Arial, increase the size, the color should be black, then turn off the title. Next, go to the y-axis, turn off the title, turn off the values now. Nope, we don't need to turn off the value, just turn off the title actually. Then for the values, expand, change this to area also. Then make this 10, change the color to black also, which is very important. Then we can come down to the grid lines. We don't need the grid lines, put them off. One thing we then need to add to this visual, first I'll come to general effects, I'll put off the background. Then to this visual, we need to then add, we want to look at the admitted patient, right, by the different admission type. We have admission type, so admission type is going to come on the legend. So we can expand our health data and bring admission type, drop it on the legend. So this is what we're going to get: admitted patient by the admission type, then the average length of stay, then the average billing amount. So we want to see this across the year. So the year is up here already, so we can actually bring the year, just put it down here, so it's together with what we have. So this is it. The only thing we need to also then do for this this visual is to ensure that the title, right, instead of having admitted patient by month short and admission type, we can give a very good title, right? So if you expand this DAX, you can actually see we have a title here. So this is the line title. So it's just a switch function that is tied to the parameter that is being selected at any point in time. So 0 is admitted patient, right? 1 is length of stay, while any other one selected is billing amount. So I'll select the visual, right? I'll come to format. I'll say general title. I'll click on the conditional formatting here. Then the field value is already selected. Then the field value I'm referring to, expand my DAX and scroll down. I'll expand the title and say line title and click on OK. So this gives a dynamic title, currently viewing admitted patients trend. If you change to length of stay, currently viewing average length of stay trend. Then if you change to billing amount, currently viewing average billing trend, just like that. So next, we have a matrix visual here. Then we have a donut chart here. So for the donut chart, we can just bring the donut chart here, expand this. What we want to look at is just KPI admitted patients. Then by day type, right? Calendar, we have day type. We want to see the percentage of patients that were admitted in a particular day type, right? Right. So you can format this also. I'll leave this for you to format. To do that, just come to format, slices, change the color here. Then data label, you can change this to category and percent of total only. Then you can turn off your legend, right? Then for the slices, the spacing, you stick and play around it, right? If you want to increase, if you want to decrease, it's entirely up to you. So let's just make a copy of this, right? So this is looking at, first select this again once more, format, general, turn off effects, turn off the background, effects, turn off the background also. So this is looking at admitted patients, then the length of stay bucket. So remove the day type, navigate to health data and length of stay buckets. So this is it. Okay, so we are good. Okay, so we are good. Remember to always give your visuals a very good title and format. Remember the font style we're using and everything. So down here, we just have a matrix visual also, right? We'll bring the matrix visual here, expand. Let's quickly navigate back to the report. We're simply looking at the month, then we're looking at the week also by the admitted patient. So what we just have on the row, we are looking at the month, right? We can actually use the month name. Then on the column, we're looking at the week, right? Then we're looking at this by admitted patient also, right? So we can come to format now. Grid, you know that already. Increase the font size to 12, increase the padding to 2, right? We can actually make the font size 14. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, so it looks okay when we make it 14. Great. So one thing we did here was, first I applied some sort of conditional formatting, right? So let me quickly go grab this color code, or it's actually in Power BI. So when I select slices, weekend or weekday, this purple color, weekend, the light purple color, right? So this purple color, I'm just going to copy it, this color code, I'm going to copy this color code, then come to my table, right? I'll scroll down to where I have cell elements. I'll scroll down. I'll turn on the background color, click on the conditional formatting, come down here, say more, paste the color code, then change this to white and click on OK. So I have something like this. But this is not really looking nice, but it tells a story. Let's see what we have on. Okay, so what we have on the visual, on the report we're trying to recreate, is actually the lighter version. So this is the color we actually have there. So I'll copy this color code. I'll go back again to cell elements. I'll scroll down, click on admitted patients. I'll change this color code to the lighter purple and click on OK. So we have something like this, which is better. So you can still go ahead, format this table, add anything. Remember to add a title to this table. Then lastly, I can come to patient demographics, right? Then I copy this page navigator, Control C. Then I just paste it here, right? Great. So remember, these lines you have here, first format, general, effects, background is off already. You can actually change the color for each of the line, right? When you come to line, you can select each of the line, then change the color. You can actually change the line also from linear to smooth if you want to. You can change it from smooth to step if you want to, but I think you can either work with smooth or you work with linear, whichever one that's your choice. So you can make some adjustments here. Okay, so remember to bring in a slicer. This slicer month is not supposed to interact with these two visuals, right? So select this slicer, come to format, edit interaction, say we don't want you to interact with this, we don't also want you to interact with this, and check that. So for the year, please go back to format again and check edit interaction. For the year, I'll just say Ctrl C, Ctrl V. I'll bring this up here. Ideally, we don't need to have the month slicer on this page actually, so we don't have the month slicer. I'll delete it. I'll just make a copy of this, right? So what we actually have on this page is actually the medical condition, right? Dimension, medical condition, and the healthcare facility, that's the hospital. I'll check the year and replace it with the hospital. So this is what we actually have on this page, right? Right, great. So this is great. I'll save this to make sure everything is saved. So you can go ahead, spice your report up, add any other thing you want to add to the report. Now let's proceed to the last page of the report. So like we did before, I'm still just going to copy everything I have up here in terms of the card visuals. Ctrl C, then I'll come here, Ctrl V. Yes, you can synchronize if there's any need for that. So great. So here I know we need to have the year selected because we have 2023. So I'm just going to make a copy of this and I'll paste this here. Synchronize. Yes. So let's quickly take a look at the report we're trying to recreate and see what we have on this page. So treatment cost, right? So basically you can actually create these visuals, right? You can create these visuals. This is a part of the report where I want you to just try your hands on it. You can create this. All you need to do is create a parameter for this, right? Let me just walk you through, right? So come back to the report view. First, what we're looking at here is just the clustered column charts, right? Up here. Then we're looking at the length of stay. That's the length of stay buckets. Then we're looking at the billing. So this time around, we're using the total billing. Total billing is actually the total amount spent by each patient, right? So total billing, right? Average length of stay. Then we're looking at this across the admission type, the 3 admission type. That's basically it. So you can go ahead and format this visual. Right down here, we then went ahead to create a parameter, right? For either the healthcare facility, which is the hospital, or the insurance provider. So all you need to do is come to view, not view, modeling, new parameter, fit parameter. The two parameter you want is actually, so let's say this is associated with billing, let's say billing. Then we want to look at either the hospital, that's the total amount by the hospital, or by the insurance provider. Remember to always tick this add slicer to this page, click on create. So you can see the slicer is already here. So now we can then bring in a column chart. I'll just make a duplicate of this, right? Bring it down here. Then what we're looking at is remove this and replace it with the billing parameter you just created. This billing parameter, you drop it on the x-axis. So right now we don't have anything selected, so we have to select the hospital, right? Then we'll come up here to make sure that this slicer doesn't interact with this visual we have up here. So you can see, so you can either switch from a hospital to the insurance provider, right? Hospital to the insurance provider. But one thing we don't need here is the admission type, right? The admission type is actually not needed here, but you still can leave it, right? If it works for you, fine. If it doesn't, fine. Now, if you go back to our health data, right, you'd actually notice, let's see if I have that here, that there's a new column called hospitals, a new column, just abbreviation of the hospital names. The reason I did this, you can actually see the hospital names we have done here. They are not so nice. We don't, these visuals makes this visual rough, right? You can actually see the hospital names in full, right? It's, although it's clear, but not so good. So you can actually replace, we already created the parameter, so you can come to the billing parameter and just where you have hospital here and just replace it with the hospitals, the one with the S, and everything is sorted. So okay, so it didn't work the way we wanted, so we can actually fix that. Come back to billing and say this should be looking at hospitals. Okay, this should work perfectly fine, but it's not working the way we want it to work. Yep, so it's working perfectly fine now. So we have the hospitals where you have the names, you can see them clearly now. Then you have the insurance provider, either the hospitals or the insurance provider, hospitals or the insurance provider. Now, there's also a dynamic title to this already, I think so. So if you select this visual and come to the DAX and come to title, is this the title? Let's be sure. Okay, let's be sure. Let me be sure that's the title for that chart. Okay, total billing. Okay, yeah. So just because we want a medical condition, when a medical condition is selected, right, we want this to actually tell us what we're looking at. So I'll select this visual. I'll come to format now, come to general title, click on the conditional formatting, feed value, say more option, DAX, title, and select what I have here, title. Then I click on OK. So you can see total billing accumulated by Asthma. So if you change this to diabetes, you see the total billing accumulated by diabetes also. So that is it. On this last visual we have here, we have a visual here, we have a visual here also. I want to leave this to you to create. I believe you can actually create that. It's very simple. The medical condition, then the medication that was used actually. So it's just a matrix table as usual. You bring it here, just increase. Then we're looking at the medical condition now. So you go to our dimension, medical condition is on the row. Then you can go to the health data and take the medication on the column, right? So we want this medical condition format edit interaction not to interact with this table. So We'll select this table now, and we want to see the admitted patients. So just drop the admitted patient on the value. So that is it. You can come to format, column headers, not column headers, please, grid, options, increase the font size, let's say 14, increase the padding to 2. Then remember, you can then adjust these. Go ahead and format this. We've done this before, so there's no need doing it over again. Then you can come back to the page navigator as usual. Copy the page navigator, come to treatment costs, then you paste it here. So good. So this is basically it. I believe you with this you can actually go ahead and create a perfect report on your own end. You can create a perfect health report on your own end, right? You can create a perfect health report on your own end. Great. So that will be it for this video. I'm looking forward to your reports. You can tag me on LinkedIn. My profile is attached to the video description. You can tag me. Let me know if there's any challenge. You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn and any other platform. So with this, we've come to the end of this video. I want to believe this video was beneficial to you. So don't forget to click on the like button. If you've not subscribed to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Bye for now.